All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. All right, today is the first video that I am doing in shirt and tie. All right, so we're going to give this a shot in the middle of my teaching day right now on my planning period. Today's also the first day that I'm using my laptop computer to record these, so I think sometimes the angle, some of the lighting on some things is going to have to be adjusted, but improvise, adjust, adapt, overcome, and let's go. All right, make sure you check out some of our sponsors. So GameStrat, sideline replay system that we use at the schools I've been at, the school I'm currently at. Awesome product, awesome customer support. Make sure you check out GameStrat. Dome Hats, a headwear company I use with Play Fast Football, and also the school I'm currently at. If you like custom hats, the ability to design your own hat, check out Dome Hats. Baker Sporting Goods, where we get the school I'm at, the school I was at, my company, where I get my my shirts, my college shirts, my backpack, my Play Fast backpack is from Baker Sporting Goods. So you can get all your fan gear, coaches gear, players gear in one convenient spot. So make sure you check out Baker Sporting Goods. Just Play Football, which is the play drawing software tool we use. It's also got some quiz features and other unique features in there where you can quiz your players on game plans and playbooks. But if I'm going to do anything for clinics or my Patreon site or any installs that we have, I'm going to draw things with Just Play. So make sure you check them out. Difference USA, the ultimate striking machine, get thousands of reps without needing a partner. All right, so you set it up in your weight room, you set it up on the practice field, you can set it up. It can be in season, it can be out of season. You don't need a partner. You work on striking, elbows in, thumbs up, the proper way to strike, and you get multiple reps perfect during the pandemic. You don't need a partner. You don't need anybody else involved. All right, high and tight, ball security is job security. You have to hold the football in the proper position with the proper points of pressure. If you do not do so, you will not hear the beep. The instant auditory feedback is perfect for kids because if I do a drill and I hear the beep, I know I've got the ball held properly. If I lose that position, if the wrist gets below the elbow, if the elbow gets out away from the rib cage, ball gets too low, there's not enough pressure, proper points of pressure, I don't hear the beep, I know there's something wrong. Check out High and Tight. StandPerfect is a training aid that we use for stances, receivers, linemen, younger players. You want to teach them how to get into stances. You want to teach them how they should be standing, but you want to eliminate buzzwords. You want to eliminate talking about put your back foot here, 4 inches, 6 inches, do this. Set them up. If you got your lineman and you want to play them in a left foot stagger, right foot stagger, and you want them a certain way, set them up on the ground. All your linemen get in them. They put their feet in. They put their hand on the ground where you want it. Boom, you're ready to go. You get multiple reps. All right, so you could use it for baseball, softball, golf, football. It's got a lot of different uses, so make sure you check out StandPerfect. So what I wanted to talk about today, all right, is philosophically something that I kind of believe in. And again, like most of the videos that I do, this is my opinion. All right, this is me, 25 years of high school football experience, 23 or 24 years as a head coach. I don't know anymore, but this is just my opinion on are punt returns worth it, okay? And my opinion is no, setting up punt returns in high school football is not worth it. If anything, I would think about fair catching punts and having somebody that can catch punts, somebody that is consistent catching punts. But as far as spending time developing punt returns, working on punt returns, it is my opinion, all right, that is not productive in high school football. And I'm going to go through the reasons why. Now, have we used punt returns before? Sure we have. Have we spent time on punt returns before? Sure we have. After 23 or 24 years of doing this, all right, I am going to tell you that in my opinion, I don't think it's worthwhile spending time on punt returns. I would rather try and block punts, okay? And here's why I think that way. First of all, you got to remember the rules that are different in high school, college football than the NFL, all right? There is no illegal man downfield in high school, right? So you're going to see a lot more shield punts. You're going to see a lot more punts where guys are getting down the field a lot quicker than they do in the NFL because you can't have illegal men downfield, all right, in a punting situation in the high school game. That's why the shield is so prevalent at our level. Not only is it a little more time productive or you know, is it easier to teach in a timely manner than pro punt or, you know, spread punt, whatever you want to call it. All right, the shield can be a little bit easier. It can be easier to effectively protect punts in high school, and it gets people down the field quicker, right? So those rules, right away, we should play based on the rules that we have in our game. We're a high school football team. We play with high school football rules. We have to understand that people can get down the field quicker, right? Punter consistency. High school football, there's not always a dead set punter. The punter might be the quarterback. It might be the tailback. It might be a lineman. It could be anybody. All right. Punts go sideways out of bounds. They go across the field out of bounds. Punts go straight in the air. Punts go line drive. All right. When you don't have consistent punters that are scholarship punters or NFL pro punters that punt the ball 40 to 50 yards down the field, okay, where you know you're going to have the ability to set up returns on a consistent basis. So if I put returns in and I spend time working on the returns that week, I want to know that if I get that return set up, that hopefully I'm going to get a fieldable punt. Now, I realize that in the NFL and in major college football, what do good returners do in a special teams game plan? How many times do you see teams that have to angle punts out of bounds, and maybe even teams that rugby punt and try and punt low line drives that can't be fielded simply because either the returner is too good and you don't want the ball in his hands. So you work on all these different angled kicks, and then you watch the punter shank one sideways out of bounds because all of a sudden his technique has to change because he's trying to angle a ball. Yes, I know a scholarship punter, a pro punter should be able to do those things. I get it. But now we're talking about high school. The consistency of punters is hit or miss. The fact that one week you're going to face somebody who actually has a kid that with a great leg that can turn a ball over and punt it 45, 50 yards down the field. And then the next week you're going to face somebody that punts low line drives that they can barely even get a punt off because high school football is what it is. We're not recruiting long snappers. We're not recruiting punters. So the inconsistency of the punter for me has led me to believe that I would rather go after punts and try and block them than worry about spending time setting up returns. Because if I force 4 punts a game and the 4 times they punt the ball, they don't give me a returnable punt, then it's not worth my time and effort to put in a punt return. Now, again, if you're at the major college level or the NFL level and your punt returner is so good and he flips the field so often that they have to change how they punt, well, then I think you've already effectively, had an impact in the special teams game and in field position because you're changing how a team punts and you are changing that they have to angle and directional kick all the time. All right. How many times do you see kickers that are really good kickers on kickoff and they got a great returner? And sometimes you see teams get fancy and try and pooch or squib or do things and the ball goes out of bounds when maybe they should have just lined up and tried to kick it through the back of the end zone, but the guy back there scared them. So I understand that a good return game and a good return guy can change game plans. They can change field position in a heartbeat like that. And I get all that. All right. But I'm just saying at the high school level with the inconsistency of punters, I don't think it's worth my time to spend 15, 20 minutes a week or whatever it may be on punt returns. I'd rather spend that time going after a punt and talking about all the things we need to do to block punts. Okay. Operating time or the operational time. So snap to foot. What's that time? A lot of times in the NFL, the operating time is so consistent and so, quick, fast, positive, 1.6, 1.7, 1.5, 1.4, 1.3, whatever it may be. All right. I don't even know what the average, a good study, a special teams guy out there would know what the average operating time in college and the NFL is. I don't know exactly what that is. I just know when I study the high school game and I watch film and I try to work on operating time of snap to foot. Okay. A lot of the times I'll see films where I know I want to block punts and go after them because the operating time is so slow. So if the operating time is going to be that slow and we don't have illegal men downfield, then if I try and set up some type of hold up or wall return or some type of punt return, takes them 2.4 seconds to get the punt off. Guys are allowed to release down the field. That's longer for them to run down the field to cover. What kind of return are we going to be able to set up? So I think the operating time has a lot to do with, all right, how you determine whether or not you want to block kicks or whether or not you want to return kicks, okay? Your ability to field punts. How often do we find kids that can't field punts, all right? Or kids that can field punts when they get in the game always back away from punts and they let punts hit the ground, okay? I always try and find a kid. If I found a kid that could fair catch every punt and stop it from hitting the ground, I would use that kid every day of the week, even if he's not a dynamic returner, because in my experience in high school, a lot of the dynamic returners that I've had, for some reason, don't always field the ball, whether it's a nervous deal, they're scared they're going to fumble it, whatever. All right. When you have that great returner, he not only has the ability to change field position and make explosive plays, he fields punts. He understands that the idea of punt return is you can't return a punt unless you field the punt, right? So in 24 years of doing this and through seeing high school football for the last 24, 25 years, there's too much inconsistency fielding punts. How kids field punts, their ability to field punts, their ability to fair catch punts. Now, yes, all those things have to be coached. Yes, all those things have to be taught. Yes, all those things have to be practiced. So sometimes on our end, it's a coaching deal where we're just not doing a good enough job working on it. All right. Yes, you have to teach the proper fundamentals. Yes, you have to teach kids how to get their elbows in, not get the elbows out and let the ball slide down. Yes, you have to teach kids how to be able to give with punts and not be so stiff in receiving a punt. Yes, you have to teach kids how to track punts, where that ball is in the air. Is it turned over? What's it doing? What's the trajectory? So there's a lot of things that are involved that go into it. And we need to practice those things. But it's just my experience, again, my opinion, my experience, that in high school, we see too much inconsistency in fielding punts. So if we can't consistently field punts, then let's not worry about punt returns. Let's go after punts, okay? Penalties during returns. All right, a lot of guys that do statistics and analytics and look at numbers. In my experience, a lot of punts that we have returned for 15 or 20 yards or more have penalties on 50 to 60% of those returns. Blocks in the back, holding, other things that kids think they're making a play. They're trying to hustle. They're trying to give effort, but they don't understand. If you can't see a face mask, don't block a guy. All right. If you can't see the front of the chest, the face, even the shoulder nowadays, they put so much of an emphasis on, unsportsmanlike conduct, personal fouls, however you want to look at it, blindside blocks. Okay. Personal fouls, probably not unsportsmanlike conduct, but the blindside cleanup block that everybody used to look for, especially on special teams, because of injuries and concussions, we've gone to a point where referees are now looking for that. So even if you get that good cleanup block with the proper angle, a lot of times in high school, it gets called for a personal foul right away. Okay, so the rules have changed blocking a little bit, but also, at the high school level, I think having kids understand special teams play, angles, how to retreat and get guys, how to block gunners down the field. A lot of times in the NFL, they double guys and they run them out of bounds, and it's a dogfight all the way down the field. Those gunners have a tough job. Well, in high school, I think it's tough to get kids to block, understand angles, hold up, positioning, how to block on the run while you're trying to trail a guy, how to not block a guy in the back. So if you do your analytics and you find that anytime you have a return of 15 to 20 yards or more, whatever you would deem explosive in the return game, if 50% of those have penalties, I don't know if it's worth setting up returns if half the time you get a good return, it's penalized and negated anyways, okay? Again, if your analytics don't say that, then that's perfectly fine. This is my opinion, my experience, what I've looked at with research numbers, okay? And the last one I would say is, do you study field position, hidden yardage? Hidden yardage would be when that punt hits the ground, how far does it go? So when you're talking to your returner, all right, and you're saying, hey, look, even if you can fair catch a ball, let's go back and look at this past game. You had 3 opportunities where the ball hit the ground. If you would have just fair caught those and never returned it, all right, just raised your hand over your head, fielded the punt. Those 3 punts would have saved us 45 yards in field position because this one rolled 18, this one rolled 12, and this one rolled 15. If you would have just fielded those and they don't get rolled, you would have saved us 40 yards in field position, right? So when you're looking at field position and hidden yardage stats, is there enough in there that makes you want to say, I'm definitely going to put somebody back there to try and fair catch it? We're still going to try and block punts, okay? But I'm going to make sure I get somebody back there to try and fair catch punts, all right? To make sure that we don't get lost in the hidden yardage battle where the ball hits the ground and it's an analytic that a lot of people don't look at or study, but when that ball hits the ground and it goes another 15 yards, that's 15 yards that we could have made up in field position if we just would have fair caught it. Now, there's been times where I put 2 guys back there, and even if I was setting up a return or a hold up or something like that, I put 2 guys back there to make sure that whether the punt is shanked to the right or across our body to the left, I have somebody back there to field that punt if one guy isn't adequate enough to field it because the dispersion of the punts is so erratic, right? So there's times where I put 2 returners back there. But the more and more I looked at it, all right, under certain times in the game, certain situations in the game, certain field position dynamics, there's times where I've said, in my opinion, it's worth it to not even put a returner back there and go after it with 1 extra guy to try and overload a side. Or you can go after it aggressively and still have 1 or 2 guys check fake. You can still cover gunners because the field position flip wasn't as dynamic or the hidden yardage wasn't as dynamic. So I wasn't worried about, in that situation, fair catching or fielding a punt. I was okay with taking my chances to go after a punt, all right, rather than the 15 yards of hidden yardage that it hits the ground and it rolls, because my analytics told me that block punts change the dynamic of a game more than 15 yards of hidden field position. Or my analytics tell me that I could flip field position a lot quicker if I affected a punt, blocked it, forced it to be erratic, all right, and I didn't return it. The field position gains are greater than if I actually set up a return and risked getting the proper kick that is returnable, setting up the return, getting guys to block, not having penalties, right? So you run the numbers, you do the analytics, and you find out maybe it's worth it to not even put a returner back there. Now, usually when you don't put a returner back there and you don't block a punt and that punt hits the ground and rolls, everybody in the stands is going to yell, everybody's going to scream, why don't you put a returner back there? If it's a situation where you need to save time, if there's less than a minute in a game and you got a team backed up and you'd like to go after a punt because it could win you the ball game, but at the same time, you'd also like to maybe fair catch or field a punt because it could save a punt that hits the ground and rolls around. If the other team is smart and it's at the end of a game or a half, they'll let it roll until it actually is dead or it gets blown dead, because now it's taking extra time off the clock for you. When you get the ball back, you've got less time on the clock. All right. There may be situations where you want to return her back there to fair catch because you want to use, all right, the rule that allows you to attempt a free kick and get 3 points after fair catching at the end of the half. So maybe there's no time left on the clock. You fair catch a punt. Yes, if you go after the punt and block it, you could get a touchdown. All right. But the analytics say if they're backed up and you fair catch this at the 30, you've worked on free kicks. The analytics say fair catch. Okay. Let that punt, all right, be caught with a fair catch signal that allows you to then free kick from that spot. Now, analytically speaking, if it's at the end of the half and you're punting the ball and you know that there's 2 seconds left, so as soon as you snap and punt, the half is over, you should probably punt the ball out of bounds. Don't give somebody a chance to fair catch it. Even if you know there's 2 seconds left and you know the operating time from snap to kick is what it is. By the time you snap and kick it, if you protect it, if you max protected it and punted it straight sideways out of bounds, if it's the end of the half, they can't free kick. They don't get a possession. All right. So those are the great parts about special teams and the situations that everybody needs to try and work on if they have enough time to work on it and make sure that they understand, okay, because they could change or impact the game, right? Giving somebody a chance to return a punt when there's no need to give them a chance to return a punt. Giving somebody a chance to fair catch a punt and end a half or a game with a free kick when there's no need to do that because the clock would be dead as soon as the ball's punted. So just punt it somewhere where it can't be returned. Okay, so I think special teams in high school is a really big area where you can steal some possessions, flip the script. I think there's a lot of high schools out there that do more research and more time, spend more time on offensive and defensive game plans. I think special teams can kind of be that hidden factor that can get some teams over the edge in high school. There's a lot of teams out there that do a really good job, and you always hate playing against them because it's one more thing you got to deal with. It's 1/3 of the game, or, you know, it's a third of offense, defense, special teams. We got to dominate 2/3 or whatever your theory is. All right. It's a part of the game. It's going to be multiple snaps in a game. So I think it's something that people need to look at. So my opinion, based on 25 years of experience and the data that I've studied and the things that I've experienced in my career, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to go after punts. We're not going to set up very many punt returns. And if we do anything, we're going to try and fair catch. All right. In our aggressive mindset to go after punts, we're going to try and fair catch, not let the ball hit the ground, try and avoid some of that negative yardage. So I appreciate everything you guys do for Play Fast Football. I appreciate you guys watching all these videos. As always, you won't play well until you play fast. I hope you like the video. I hope it records well. I hope you like it in the shirt and tie, and I will see you guys next time.